My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome back to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave DeBow. And have you ever wondered what it takes to transition from wholesaling to commercial syndication in just 4 years? Well, today my guests, John Stewart and Crystal Spears from Chattanooga, Tennessee, are here to share their incredible journey and from their first deal to ambitious goals. Get ready to take a deep dive into the world of real estate investing like never before. John, Crystal, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So it says here you guys kind of started in the wholesaling game. We were talking a little bit offline about the origin story, and I'm interested. Take me back to step one and tell me why real estate. Why did you guys get into real estate in the first place?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let him start off.
This story goes all the way back to when I was working mowing lawns, and I was sitting on a mower for hours and hours every day, listening to books and podcasts, one of which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Someone told me about it. Of course, I grabbed it, probably listened to it twice in a row. And it just so happened that something about the story just really clicked with me as I was mowing the lawns at an apartment complex. It dawned on me, oh, someone owns this. There's a person that owns this. I never really thought about it before. I lived in an apartment complex once upon a time, but it never dawned on me that someone actually owned that. Fast forwarding a little bit, I started at MTSU here in the Nashville area. Took some finance classes, got a business degree, took some specific real estate classes, and then I did an internship at a large multifamily commercial brokerage, and I got to see real estate at the highest level possible. I got to see huge portfolios of multifamily assets, Class A, all around in major metros across the country trade. I saw probably $100 million trade hands while I was there in 4 months, and it was pretty cool. I got to underwrite them. I got to help. I got to sit in with the broker one-on-one, and really dive in. I was so uncomfortable. I was not used to not being the smartest dude in the room, and it was a very uncomfortable situation. So after that, I just tried to get into real estate as much as I could, and someone I met going to meetups and things like that offered to take me to a wholesaling seminar for free, and I went. And it's not that I absolutely recommend that to anyone, but it was cool because I could have probably learned most of what he taught online, but the way that I work, I'm not going to sit through and watch a course on YouTube. I'm just not. So It was nice. It was nice seeing that, and I saw the basics of how this dude sold these contracts, which never even dawned on me before. After that, Crystal and I decided to move to Chattanooga from Nashville, where real estate was a lot cheaper than Nashville at the time. It's gotten a lot more expensive since we've been here, but so we moved here and just started pounding the pavement. I mean, literally, walking up to people, writing letters, leaving flyers at people's cars, just kind of doing everything we could to get in contact with property owners. I got one under contract. It was a tear down, an hour away, and it took me 3 or 4 months of back and forth. I paid for a survey. It did a lot of work. As wholesalers know, it's not easy. And I sold it and I made $3,000. And
Hey man, that's a good couple weeks of work these days.
it was a couple of months. It
Yeah,
was like months of work.
That's kind of when we realized that we don't really want to wholesale.
Yeah. And so I had $3,000 and I turned around and took 100% of that, took it right back to a title company and deposited it as an earnest money deposit on a 20-unit package that I had put under contract in that time period. I wanted to buy. That's what I wanted to do. So I put all the money. It was kind of tough because it's just, months of work. I put it down, maybe never see it again. That story is interesting. It was 20 units across 7 different properties. There was like a quad, some duplexes, a house, a triplex. It was just a little package. And
we got it the same way we got the first house.
Yeah.
Writing letters.
Yeah.
And she finally called us back. And
we agreed on a price of $785,500. I just told you I made $3,000 on that last one, and just graduated college, didn't have a job, we were living with family. So the matter of closing that was going to be an issue. Now I knew that people raise money to buy real estate, and that's what I wanted to do. So we started pounding the pavement in a different way. I started calling everyone that I knew, kind of begging for money. Telling them that I got a super sweet deal. I put a little package together, kind of like what I did at the internship. I used some of the same templates and things like that I had made there. And we scraped $170,000 together from 3 different people.
There you go.
so that was going to be the down payment for the loan, right?
That was going to be the down payment. The bank that had agreed to lend to us changed their minds and decided we were not a good fit for them 5 days before closing. So
on a Friday.
And so I had all weekend to stew and try and figure out what I was gonna do come Monday morning. And so what I did is I called the owner of all these properties and got an extension. I extended another month, and then I proceeded to get onto Bigger Pockets and got a list of every hard money lender I could and called them all. I think every one on Bigger Pockets at the time I called. Just doing whatever I could to buy these with $170,000 that we had. It's a funny story. I happened to connect with the son of the seller. Mind you, they were in different states. The owner was in Florida and he was in Texas. He worked at a hard money lender. At first, I thought it was kind of serendipitous. I thought it was meant to be. He was going to help me. He's, on my side, trying to help me, trying to help his mom. Turned out that he didn't like the idea that we were getting all these properties for the price we were getting them, and actively was working against us behind our back. And when it came time to close with another hard money lender, there was no response. We sent her the paperwork and she did not sign.
We couldn't get the appraisal.
We couldn't get the appraisals. She didn't let the appraiser in. We ordered it and they just couldn't appraise the property. So we thought, okay, well, we'll just close the quad in the house with cash, and just let the other ones go. And she didn't sign. So I had 2 options. I could walk away, no harm, no foul, try again, look for more property, see what we could do,
Mhm.
or I could sue her. And I did. I sued her. I called,
We lawyered up,
contacted,
yeah.
contacted an attorney who sued her, and she lawyered up, and it looked like it was going to be a really crunchy legal battle. And I
Mm.
was prepared to dig in and get it done. And honestly, she had the means to bankrupt us. I mean, we just didn't have, it was all borrowed money,
Mhm.
essentially. So luckily that's not what happened. She did close. We closed on the house and a
Quad.
4-unit quad
Mhm.
for, ended up being $145,000 for both of them. And that left us about 20 grand or so after legal fees and closing costs to renovate 5 units. So needless to say, from there we did a lot of work ourselves, having only 20 grand, and a lot of it was really poorly done. We redid a lot of it after the fact.
There's nothing like getting your hands dirty when
Mhm.
you're first starting out, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
learned a lot.
you realize that you never want to do it again,
Exactly.
Exactly. Learned a
or maybe you love
whole
it
lot.
and you do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. I'll just say, funny story. First time I ever put on drywall mud, she walked in on me and died laughing because I was literally using my hands.
Like a wax on,
Yeah, you
wax
get
off.
so frustrated. You're just like,
I don't know. Just wipe it down. Whatever. I didn't grow up doing this stuff.
yeah.
But so let's see. From there, um, that it was everyone knows, I'm sure, about the BRRRR strategy: buy,
And refinance.
rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And that was like to a T what we did, and kind of still do. But we, fixed them up, ran them out, um, and walked into a bank, got a loan, paid, said to our investors, hey, like, here's all your money back. One of them was so impressed in what we did, she did take her money and the 12% we promised her. And she went and did it herself down in Florida.
Mhm.
Good for her.
Good.
The other two were as equally impressed, but wanted us to do it again. They said, do it again. Like,
Yeah, let it ride.
yeah,
Yeah.
let it ride. Let's keep going. Send me my interest, and let's keep going. So, we continued the marketing this whole time, which is something I didn't mention. And I had another 5-unit package lined up, and we ended up closing that later, and continued working on it. Just making little small steps. I think we did another duplex, and one more house, or 2 more houses, one of which we sold. Like,
And then we got a package of 2 duplexes and a house.
yeah, well, right, yeah. So it
So you're like getting these landlords on the phone and they're like, I want to unload more than this one house you flyered. I want to unload this thing across town and this other thing. Are you interested in all the things? Or are you actively digging for all the things? 'Cause
oh well
some
that
people stop short. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm interested in 123 Fake Street.
so
Cool. And then
that's
have
always
that
the first
conversation.
question. That's always the first question, right? Like, hey, I'm super interested in your property here. Do you have any other ones maybe that you're interested in selling? Sometimes you can see that on the tax records,
Yeah.
if you're looking that way, which we do. You can see they own multiples, but if they own multiples in other counties, I mean, that's almost always the first question I ask, even to this day when I do cold calls to strip center owners.
Well, and even when they're like, no, I'm not interested in selling that, then the next question is, or should be, well, what about your other ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell me about where you guys are at these days.
Yeah. So just super quickly running through how we got from 10 or 15 residential units up to 200,000 square feet of commercial. From after where I left off, I ended up buying a wholesaled apartment complex with a partner. Someone else brought us a strip center, a couple of different commercial opportunities. We finally ended up like landing on the strip center, which we closed in 2022. And after that, there was a 130,000 square foot office building that we ended up closing after that. We didn't close anything in 2023. And
Too busy with all the stuff you already closed.
And it was a weird year for commercial. If you remember, interest rates more than doubled in that year. And
I think the banks got scared too. They're
banks,
like, well,
yeah,
we're just going to take the year off too.
banks got scared, and sellers were, everyone didn't really have it in their heads. They were selling at, 3% interest, 3-4% interest rates, when in reality the only rate you could get was about 8% at the time. It's come down a little bit, but we're at 6.75, maybe 7. But it was, you can't, it's really hard to make up any kind of margin when it works at a 3% interest rate and you can only get an 8%.
Yeah.
So that slowed us down a lot.
Underwriting wasn't panning out. So what motivated you to shift from residential to commercial?
Well,
I wasn't motivated at all, by the way.
I was kind of
I was just getting into the residential and understanding it and excited about, we had just renovated our home that we also house hack. And so I was like super excited about that. And he's like, all right, now we're going to buy the strip center. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And so I was like, all right, you're kind of on your own. And
that's the 9-unit shopping center, right?
Yes. Yeah. So now I'm like really getting into it once I've understood it a little bit more.
What
sort of challenges come along with that, commercial, that 9-unit? What sort of differences between residential and commercial did you find?
So the differences really are minimal, which is why it was so easy to transition. I wanted to get into commercial from the very beginning. Remember, if you recall my story about mowing an apartment complex, I wanted that. I wanted multifamily. I wanted huge properties because the numbers made sense to me. And even if the return metric was about the same, the numbers were bigger. I would take 10% of $1 million NOI over 10% of $1,000 NOI, any day. So the difference that changed about retail is multifamily has gotten I realized that multifamily is not so much a cash flow game as it is an appreciation game. And I am not into that. I'm not a multifamily buyer. I don't buy for appreciation. I buy for cash flow. And so really, it was so surprising to me to learn that retail it's almost essentially the same thing as doing a multifamily property, or a small residential multifamily property. They're a little bit more nuanced in the sense that you can make more money and there are more levers to pull. It's not just rent, and it's not pet fees and things like that. You can get things like common area maintenance, and you can turn your leases into full-on triple net. You can sell out parcels. You can cut down your spaces and increase the number of units. You can get a big box to sign a 10-year lease and chop that off and sell that separately from the whole building, and recapitalize a whole bunch of your money.
It's more flexible
property. Yeah, a lot more flexible. So to answer your question, the challenges are mostly in getting through to some of the larger tenants that have huge corporate locations that don't.
Yeah.
It's hard to know who to talk to. For instance, we have a Dollar General in that strip center, and everyone I speak to is as nice as can be, but it's really hard to get a hold of the right person.
Mhm.
Everyone's so I would say it's probably the biggest challenge. Other than that, it's almost easier. It seemed easier. Managing a shopping center has been easier than managing an apartment complex.
Yeah. Well, they're not living in there. They're not bringing their whole life home and stacking up with all sorts of stuff. Like
That's
it's
right.
you know, I don't know that I've ever heard like a horror story tenant in a commercial unit space. You got one for me?
I have a I have a funny one. So when we bought it, first of all, I'll say that it wasn't smooth. This wasn't like a REIT we bought this from. This was a guy who actually got very sick and wasn't even in like taking care of the property anymore.
Hmm.
And funny enough, one of the tenants was living there in the back of their store. And it was kind of an emotional thing because I informed her that I needed to go up in the rent. And it wasn't until like after that that I walked through all of the unit and learned and like figured out like, oh no, she has like two beds in here and like she's living here. I didn't really realize that. So it's not really a horror story, but it was
I
a
suppose that happens, like
yeah, yeah,
it starts as like sleeping there maybe because it's late or something, and then
yeah.
suddenly it's like we can't afford our house and the store, and now we're living in the back
Yeah.
to
That's right.
survive and
That's
stuff like
right.
that. So
If you do want a horror story, so the property that we bought in Memphis, which is an office property, um, and I'm a really big fan of it. I love it, but that was a horror story. The whole shebang has been one endless horror story after another. I can so I recently learned,
give me the
yeah,
Coles Notes version of it.
sure. So I learned that someone has master keys to all of the units, and that was somebody before we bought it. So there's been this unknown individual sneaking around at 3 in the morning, breaking into. This is a property with over 100 units. Just
Like a
letting you know.
ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a ghost walking around, breaking into people's units, and the tenants didn't even know. They were like, I have a bunch of products missing, or there's like a computer missing off my desk, and we're like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, so we got cameras up and learned that somebody has been walking around at the dead of night, breaking into or just unlocking random units. So now we're going to rekey about 100 doors. They're
Commercial doors,
commercial doors, which is
not
not
Yeah.
cheap.
just another thing. We had a fire there actually. And I learned that the day after Christmas, so December 26th, I got a call from the property manager saying that there was a fire, and she was savvy enough to look on Facebook and actually pulled up the body cam footage from the Memphis fire department. And I mean, when I say fire, this whole building it was like half the building had burned, gone up in flames, and it's like a multi-million dollar insurance claim that we've had to make. And
Luckily, the fire department moved very quickly, and
they got right on it, but
there was not any more damage than there already was.
no one was hurt. We lost a couple tenants. A few of them moved, and insurance is covering the whole thing, and they're even covering some of the lost rent. So it's not that I'm not super mad about it, but it was
Just always expect the unexpected.
That's real estate 101. So
oh
Yeah.
my god.
sounds like you've got properties here and there, and they're all in the same state, or do you have them all over Midwest, or what does that look like?
So right now everything we own is actually in Tennessee. I've made offers on properties. I'm looking so I'm really interested in the the top 8 states in the Southeast that just replaced the so there are 8 states in the Southeast that contribute more to the GDP than the entire Northeast, including New York City, and that's Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. Might be missing one, but could be Kentucky. But so I'm looking at those states. Right now, everything we have is in Tennessee. My buy box includes any city that with a growing population with, I would say 30 to 100,000 total population. As long as it's increasing and has been increasing for a little bit, I will look at it as a potential city. But yeah, everything we have right now is in Tennessee.
So, with the commercial space, I've known a couple people who have been in the commercial space, are in the commercial space, and also do the maintenance on the commercial space because, these things need like parking lot maintenance and, cleaning and exterior roof and these mechanical systems. So there's got to be a certain amount of delegation in this to scale this thing effectively. So what's your approach like with delegation of this business? Because this is a little bit more, I wouldn't say it's like more moving pieces, but it's on par with like a multifamily commercial space, right?
Yeah. So we manage the property ourselves. And so,
I'm delegating to her right now.
and so, we have the lawn care, and we have the parking sweep, and we have the dumpster. And those are all like somebody else is taking care of that. We're just managing them, making sure they're staying on top of that. And so then if any issues with the roof or something comes up, like our tenants will let us know. And then we have our vendors that we have already kind of picked out, call them, and then they just go up and take care of it. So it's not very often that we actually have to go up and be on site for a lot of this. But we do manage, and we've actually talked about offloading some of the bookkeeping, because we're realizing it has become so much that we're like, this has become our life. And in order to keep growing, we're going to have to offload some of this.
And the leasing, like, that's a big thing too. How do you find the leasing and the tenant screening versus multifamily residential?
So this is one of the reasons I love retail so much. You're dealing with sophisticated tenants that have bank accounts, that have businesses, that know how to manage money and pay their rent on time. We bounced around between a couple of sort of, middle tier, bottom tier property management softwares. And since starting at the Starview Plaza, we use Buildium now, which is one of the Buildium, Appfolio, and there's another one. Yeah, so
I'm sure someone's programming one right now.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Yeah. That's right. So Billium's really great because there's a lot of that is integrated, and like I do screen my commercial tenants, but to be 100% honest, if they have a successful business with ratings on Google, like that's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's more of a formality, and I just want to have some kind of background, like something that if they do skip out on my rent, I can like go after them with that. If they've built a business that's working.
So a few ways that we go about finding tenants when we have an open space. The realtor or the broker that sold us the property, he actually is one of our good friends also. So he will list a unit, and we will also list the unit on Crexy, and he knows that we do that. So it's kind of like
Race.
we're both trying to see who can get it first, right? Also, we've attended ICSC, and we have met with the tenant representatives at those conferences, getting information on what space they're looking for. That way we can see if we're a good fit for them and vice versa. So there are different ways in looking. Also, another way is, telling the tenants that are in there already, like, hey, what do you guys want, or what do you think would be good in the center? And then calling those tenant reps up and finding, a company that would be best suited for your space.
So we also have a subscription to Alpha Map, which has been useful. It's been really good for researching tenants and reaching out to them. I can't say I actually have signed a tenant from Alpha Map, but they have a really neat feature called Tenant Finder. And you can type in your site, what the space is, ceiling height, frontage, type of other tenants nearby, things like that. And it will actually pull up a list of tenants that its algorithm has determined would be a good fit for you, with their contact information, everything like that. So I've used it. Like I said, I can't say I've like secured a tenant from Alpha Map, but it's given me a whole lot of good ideas and
it is a
lot of contacts.
It is a newer company, and so they are, I think, still trying to vamp up their tenant contacts as well. So pretty soon, I think that it'll be.
It didn't occur to me that obviously the success of the businesses is a kind of like a group effort, because it's like, okay, do we want like 2 ice cream shops side by side? Well, probably not. We don't want to put competing tenants into the same spot. We want to have like, congruent businesses, a print and copy center and something like a insurance office and like a business center now it's become. So do you find it challenging to find suitable marriages of businesses, and it's like, look at the 9 units, right? You've got a 9-unit shopping center, so now you have to find like 9 people who can play nice together.
So luckily we didn't have to find 9 people that had to play nice. I've only ever at one point had, I think, 1 or 2 vacancies
at
a time, and they actually lease up pretty quickly. I don't know if anyone who's watching this is tracking retail sales and job growth in the United States. I'm sure everyone is. You should be if you're not. But our economy is absolutely booming, and retail is back in a really major way. And anybody that's saying that retail died because of Amazon is mistaken.
Never had to buy clothes on Amazon.
It's not a thing.
Sorry, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to try it on probably.
It's really hard to go get a tan on Amazon. It's really hard to go get your nails done at Amazon.
It's like service retail.
Yes, and also
experiential retail is also a big thing. It's coming back.
Yeah. Also the budget stores. So we already have like a budget grocery store, and we have a thrift store, and then a Dollar General already placed in there. And one of our new tenants is like, what is it? Deals Day.
A bin store.
It's a bin store, so that they end up getting new bins. Yeah.
So they rented 5,000 square feet, and they fill them up with tables and just empty
we
Amazon pallets.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, the business model.
We just talked to one of the newer tenants that we just placed, and he was like, "Man, like Saturday, there's a line of people wrapped around the building waiting to get in." Right?
That's the good stuff, and then they trickle it out.
That's the good stuff.
Until it's the leftover stuff on Tuesday or Thursday.
And so exactly. And it's super cool to hear that people are coming there and like wrapping around the building, because then they're going to see the tanning salon, and then they're going to be like, oh, I need a drink, or I'm going to Dollar General, so.
And we just signed a lease with like a CBD dispensary store right next to the tanning. So it goes hair salon, hair and nail salon, tanning, and like CBD
Chill out.
apothecary or whatever. So it's
There you go.
all self-care right
Yeah.
there. And it's really fun. It's a fun on a bigger scale than that as well. It gives you the impact. It gives you the ability to impact your community in a much larger way. I love being able to help a family or a couple families with an apartment, family in need. That's great. We do work with the homeless housing program, and it really is fulfilling, placing somebody who is out of options. But in something like the office park or the shopping center, or it's really neat being able to impact the whole community and see it change the area, be a part of the whole uplift of an entire part of a city, which is kind of what's going on over there in Cleveland right now. It's pretty neat.
With the rates being what they are, you find it challenging to fund and secure the funding for these larger buildings?
No.
Like, are people buying that retail's dying, and they're like, John, I'm not putting money into retail, they're all dying.
So that goes back to my buy box. If I buy it in a city with a growing population, I can say point blank, like, this city's not dying, and these people need to go grocery shopping, or these people need whatever. And at the end of the day, if somebody does say that, like, I'm assuming you're
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm saying, John, they're going to
like
go to the
like
big
a limited
box.
part.
They're going to go to the Walmart, like, I'd rather put my money in an apartment block than to give you, 750,000 for this $3 million shopping center. That being said, I was in a shopping center. Where was it? We were in Florida, and it's just retail in the parking lot. You couldn't get a spot, and the Target's in there and stuff. So there's bigger things, but at the same time, COVID certainly hammered the availability of being able to go into these stores. Are you concerned about that? Because, like, at the same time, who knows what the next thing is, or whether we'll ever see that again in our lifetime. But things like that, certainly retail is non-essential, and housing is definitely essential. So how do you say that to a guy like myself? I'm like, oh, I want to give you 750,000, but XYZ.
So I would agree with you. Housing is essential, and retail got hammered. You know what my biggest regret was after the COVID, during that whole thing?
Or during,
my biggest
not
regret,
buying everything.
Not buying every single shopping center I could, because the American economy is strong, and retail has just become more and more valuable. And the reason is because they're not really building any more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And our economy got pumped up. It was artificial, but it has prevented a spiraling recession up until now. We haven't really seen recession, despite the fact that every economist said we should, but we haven't. Job growth is up, unemployment is down, and that translates into expanding retail, new retail. Mom and pop retail has become huge. Grocery anchored retail that's been gobbled up by the REITs, first of all, because it's so stable. Everyone needs to go to the grocery store. So what I would say to you on that is, yes, you can throw your money into an apartment complex based on what somebody has offered as a return, but I do believe that rents can only go so high in multifamily. That's not a forever type of thing. And you only make your money when you sell in a multifamily building. Retail, because we have such a constrained supply and we haven't actually built almost any retail in the last 10 years, and it essentially halted. We've just started building again this year.
See all those
Not us, but
shopping centers, like the old malls, like empty.
Mhm.
So there's like parking lots essentially with a dilapidated building on it.
Yeah.
So, and there are different classes of retail, and that's another thing that is important to note in here. So in a closed mall, that is a whole own category, millions of square feet, and it is getting vacant, and it's not they're not doing much with that yet. Then you have your power centers, which are your big boxes, your Best Buys and things like that. Those are a little iffy too. Some of the big, I don't know if you've seen the news, some of the big box retailers go belly up. Tuesday Morning was a big one that just fell apart.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
They all go through cycles. Kmart.
Exactly.
Kmart. Best Buy is
Target bellied up in Canada like crazy. They came up here. They lasted like 7 months and went.
Oh wow.
That's insane.
Left a huge number of giant boxes empty. Like they built them
gosh.
too from scratch.
Yeah,
and they didn't even make
Target.
it a year.
Oh,
that's scary.
That sucks for Target.
Well, we got a bunch of new buildings out of it. Now one's a call center / Winners / TJ Maxx or whatever.
Yeah.
So they chopped it down. They chopped the Target up into like 4 pieces. But to do all that and to just like vanish into the night, it was crazy. Like they didn't make it even a year. They didn't
Oh my gosh.
12 months.
So yeah, you are right. Things go through cycles, and knowing the type of product is super important. Mom and pop retail is really coming back in just such a huge way, because a lot of the mom and pop retailers are things like experiential retail and service retail, things that you really can't do on Amazon. And then you have your things like the grocery anchored centers that are going to have foot traffic no matter what.
Dollar General's the new grocery store.
Yeah.
Dollar General, Kroger. A Kroger's anchored center is, that's one of the most valuable things that you can buy right now. So
do you guys have plans to build this stuff, or are you just in the business of buying stabilized or semi-stabilized businesses?
Maybe one day. I've never built anything before. I'd love to get into development.
It's all money people deal, man. Whatever you can dream, you can fund.
That's exactly.
So we could do this all day. I think the best thing is for people to reach out and connect with you guys. So if they want to connect with, they want to find you, what should they do? How do they find you? And they can dive another hour or two deep into this thing.
Yeah. So our Instagram is Bugay Investments. That's BUGAY Investments. You can find us there. You could also email John at bugayinvestments.com. We'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys stopping by and kind of opening up the box on the small box retail. What a story. Great episode. I can't wait to watch it back. Appreciate the time, guys.
Thank you so much. Seriously, I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, no problem. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.